Good morning. All right. So this piece that I'm about to share, I've not really had the privilege to share it in a church setting, but it's something I've written at least a year and a half ago. And it's sort of a collection of memories as a kid and sort of how God has helped me work through that. Childhood trauma that I didn't even know was childhood trauma. And I find that it is easier for me to write it out. That's how I do better, as opposed to sitting with somebody. And so I guess it's a grace that God has given me. All right, so I'm not reading it because it's here. And so somebody was like, do we snap? I don't know. Thank you, JP. Thank you very much. Number one fan. All right. So, I know what it feels like to have your excitement squashed like long road bugs on car windscreens. And the feeling is as annoying as the unbearable noise of dead music from broken guitar cheap strings, and it's true. Maybe I overreacted. Too emotional, they said, but allow me to speak, please, for I can no longer live in the facade of pretense like angry in-law greetings now for the most part. I've had to internalize my emotions because it would be a sissy move, I was told, to get all up in my feelings. But the truth is, I do feel sensitive on the edges like a chipped tooth. So to chew on this truth, I will need feelings. Look, I no longer have the appetite of being a part of a group of grazing goats. And word of caution, Mr. Pretender, you are no longer safe even in the midst of a group of praying popes. And I know what it feels like to not be yourself even in the presence of God. And so for the lack of words, you just pray in quotes, making John Piper references, feeding off the revelations of the Ravi Zacharias and the Miles Monroes, but I'm too specific. My mind is prolific. Take a tour in my unstable train of thoughts and I can guarantee you now it would be horrific. Now, truthfully speaking, I've been hurting for some time now. And to be honest, I just want a time out. It appears as though you are loved until you take your own route, but I swore on my father's grave to never not be myself again until I bleed my blood out. You see, frustration can make a man write overhead type of lines that would have you questioning what I'm about. And I have for so long denied myself the courtesy of pain. I mean, look at the fruit I'm reaping now. My uncle told me to never judge a man until I walk in his shoes, but what about a poor man without a pair, uncle? Where's the shoes you're talking about? Yet, how dare I talk to you about frustration if I've been the one playing hypocritical roles? And I've been offbeat like that one guy that never pitches for band practice, so he keeps missing critical notes. My aunt on her fourth beer bottle aunt once told me, one of the greatest mysteries of life is to love someone that might never be able to love you back. Like the extending out of arms towards a relative that's bedridden because of spinal meningitis and they might never be able to hug you back. Well, science calls it a chemical reaction, but I read that love is God and God is love, without which I can't claim the ladder. Yet what good is addition in this game if I simply keep providing snakes to climb the ladder? And I grieve for love, as though the loss of a child, like the deadly grief of Shah Jahan for the love of his life, Mumtaz Mahal. The kind of love that builds historical monuments as a resting place, what we now know as the Taj Mahal en op die oomblik, bloei my hart, maar die manier hoe ek praat is soos 'n verhaal. And do you know what it feels like to be told that you'll be fine knowing full well that you won't be? It's like when parents spank their kids and tell them it hurts them more than it does the kids, apparently. And you see, for so long, I've been hanging on the tree of expectations like antique portraits. And even when I stand still in my pain, they still can't seem to frame my poor traits. Look, I was a troublesome child in school, as you can imagine, especially in the history class, because, I just couldn't fathom the concept of forefathers. I grew up with a single mom, and so for the most part of my life, I've been advocating to hear the great tales of our foremothers, the seed in the womb carrier, the one that taught me to put others before me as I watched the sacrifice of feelings for others. I am well versed in the art of pain. I know it firsthand. Take an angle like a novel from the bookshelf, and let's get personal. The 22nd of August, 2002, my cousin hung himself in our room, and he was only 12. And for the remainder of that year, they made me sleep in the same room, and I was never to talk about it until 2012. And they wonder why I talk too much sometimes. Well, maybe it's to cloud out these well-kept memories of the casket and mourners, but sometimes it gets vivid when I'm by myself. And as a kid, at the age of 9, I was traumatized. These images of a lifeless body grabbed peace of mind from me. So I started to think that maybe it's a punishment that I deserve. And I guess even government therapeutic services were expensive then because I had to deal with this ordeal by myself. Yet I'm in distress like a damsel. I am trapped in a castle, Rapunzel. I cancel. I am an expert in canceling, concealing sessions. Look, I don't know much, but I know enough to know that I don't know much of what I think I know. And skin-deep emotions are deep enough until that emotion comes up to crush your soul. So for a brief time, I had these melancholy moments, breaking down into tears in my car. What for? I'm not sure. Maybe it's the weight of expectations placed on me, like the responsibility that came with the mantle passed on to Joshua. But for what's worth, and this is really the good news, I am done measuring myself against the world standard, because right now, I'm honestly just overdosing on God's cure. Thank you so much.